Hey everyone, glad you're here. Because what's happening in Dolton, Illinois, it's giving full-blown real-life political drama. Power, betrayal, collapse, and now a comeback no one saw coming. This story, it's got layers. So buckle up that let's take it back to May 2021. History was made. This small, predominantly black town elected Tiffany Henyard as mayor, the first young black woman to ever hold that seat. She entered like a force. She talked about empowerment, transformation, and being the change maker people were waiting for. The village backed her. They showed up for her. They believed she was going to flip the script. But fast forward a few years, that belief turned into frustration, and quick. Instead of cleaning up, Henyard became the headline. Not for progress, but for controversy. Allegations started flying. Claims that she was spending public money like it was her personal piggy bank. Hair bundles, luxury candles, designer sandals, even cookware. While residents struggled, she was out here allegedly treating the village budget like her own Amazon Prime account. And anyone who called her out, she didn't just disagree, she went at them. Publicly, in village meetings, she clapped back at critics, most of them black locals, simply asking for answers. She shouted, "Y'all should be ashamed, y'all black," and attacking a black woman that's empowered. But yelling didn't stop the heat. The pressure built. The spotlight got hotter. Investigations kicked off. The people got louder. And now, that long-awaited shift finally happened. Dolton has a new mayor, Jason House. After months of backroom tension and public chaos, Jason House officially stepped in. And trust me, this wasn't some quiet handshake moment. City Hall was packed. People filled the streets. The energy? Electric. When Jason House placed his hand on the Bible and swore to lead with honesty and integrity, the room erupted. One person said, "We just watched our little village make national history." And they weren't lying. Dolton's crisis became a national case study. One of mismanagement, yes, but also a community strength and the power of demanding better. Now under Jason House, the mission is clear. Restore trust, clean up the mess, and rebuild what was lost. Judging by how the people responded, they're beyond ready for that reboot. And Tiffany, she's pivoted hard to Facebook. Instead of accountability or explanation, she's posting selfies and motivational quotes like nothing ever went down. The same woman who once made over $347,000 a year, more than the Illinois governor, is now making zero. No position. No perks, no power. And word is, she didn't save a dime of that check. Because here's the truth. If you chase power for the wrong reasons, it disappears fast. And when it's gone, if you didn't lead with integrity, there's nothing left to stand on. No team, no loyalty, no legacy, just silence. But this isn't only Tiffany's story. It's a masterclass in what happens when leadership fails, and what happens when the people stop accepting less. Dolton woke up, and they're not playing anymore. While Henyard was busy chasing the spotlight, other leaders were doing the real work behind the curtain. People like Edward Steve and Jason House. They weren't hunting fame. They weren't trying to go viral. They were serving quietly, consistently for the community, not for clout. And the twist? Jason House didn't even want to be mayor at first. He had the shot 4 years ago and walked away. Why? Because he didn't need the title to serve. He didn't need the credit to care. He was showing up anyway. No cameras. No applause. While some were perfecting their public image, Jason was building quiet trust. Showing up, doing the work, waiting for the right moment. And when things finally exploded, when the scandal became undeniable, he stood up and said, "Enough." And guess what? The people followed. Dolton doesn't just owe Jason applause. They owe him thanks. Because real leadership doesn't walk in with designer heels and a camera crew. Sometimes it shows up in work boots, ready to get it done. Now, of course, you'll still hear some excuses. Some will say, they just didn't want a black woman to win. That argument, it's tired. Because it misses the actual issue. Yes, being black, being a woman, being from a marginalized identity, that matters. It inspires. It breaks barriers. But it's not a free pass. Identity might open the door, But what keeps you in the room is your discipline, your character, your choices, your ability to deliver on what you promise. Because the people who voted for you, they still need results. Every day that I end places like Dolton, Montgomery, Jackson, Atlanta, places full of black pride and legacy, being black isn't a burden. It's a badge. These communities want to see us lead. But once we're in office, it's on us to deliver. I'm from Sacramento. If you're not in LA or Oakland, climbing that ladder ain't easy. That's why we look to places like Detroit, Atlanta, New Orleans, places where black excellence has been proven. But here's the catch. The dream only works if the leaders do the work. Too often, people get into office and start chasing influence. They forget the mission. And every time that happens, it's a community that pays the price. We've got to raise the standard. Leadership is not a hustle. It's a calling. When someone hands you power, you don't flex, you honor it. You serve, because if we don't, we'll keep watching the same movie. Leaders rise fast, fall faster, while neighborhoods get left behind. This isn't just about Tiffany Henyard. It's about what we expect from the people we choose to lead. When your community trusts you with their vote, that's not a trophy. It's a responsibility. It's your chance to lift, not to stunt. To build, not just to brag. That's the difference between real service and betrayal. Let Dolton be a reminder. For every town, every city, every district hoping for better. When you elect someone, don't just cheer. Watch. If they use that power for clout or chaos, the fall is guaranteed. Title? Gone. Respect? Gone. Legacy? Dust. All that's left? A few filters and a history nobody wants to revisit. But if you lead with purpose, if you show up, stay grounded, stay real, it can change your life. It can build a legacy that matters. That outlives you. But the second you start believing you're above the people, that's the moment it all begins to collapse. The money? Gone. The followers? Gone. The stage? Silent. And speaking of collapse, let's talk Kamal Woods. Yes, that Kamal. The married man allegedly caught up in Tiffany's fairy tale when it all looked glamorous. Back when the checks were fat, the trips were fire, and the press was glowing. But now that the bags have stopped and the spotlight's dimmed, let's be real, Kamal is ghost. You think he's sticking around for dollar store dinners and side-eye silence? No chance. That man is already halfway to the exit with his sneakers laced. Because truth is, he was never there for her. He was there for the benefits, the ride, the image. But now that the ride's over, so is he. And Tiffany? She's not just out of the mayor's seat. She's out of chances, out of backup, out of time. And that's what happens when you treat public service like a hustle instead of a duty.